Cool. Let's discuss Drive My Car. Drive My Car. Much discussion about this movie. Highly
Yes,
nominated movie.
or yeah, or it's kind of hilarious because in Japanese, a lot of movie titles get named something else. Like when they bring over certain films, they have like a completely different title in America. But in Japanese, it's literally just Drive My Car.
Just Drive My Car. It's on HBO
Yeah.
Max right now. The film talks about a renowned stage actor and director learns to cope with his wife's unexpected passing when he receives an offer to direct a production of Uncle Vanya in Hiroshima. This is a Japanese film directed by Ryusuke Hamaguchi.
Yeah, Ryusuke Hamaguchi.
Um, and it really the film details a lot about the loss. And the lead actor of this film, his name is Hidetisho Nishijimi.
The lead actor who plays Kafka Yusuke-san, he's Nishijima Hidetoshi.
And I
Yeah,
think it the
he's a renowned stage actor and director, and he's dealing with the passing of his wife several years earlier. And a lot of I think of the emotional crux of this movie is processing one that death of his spouse, but also him dealing with various affairs that his wife was having that he knew about but never confronted her.
so you do have a lot of that with this character dealing with this anger that he's feeling over never having told his wife that he knew about her different affairs, and you see that throughout this film of kind of this mix of anger, but then sadness, but then kind of regret.
It's one of the most emotionally complex films that I've seen ever, because on one level you do have this rage that of this betrayal of why would his partner do this, and you also can see that it's not out of lack of affection between the two of them, because they are horny. And because his wife is also a television writer and producer, and she comes up with a lot of her ideas while they are doing the nasty.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great one-on-one scenes in this movie as well, with just two characters, as well as where it is a character who. What was the character? What was his name? The one that was the lead actor of the play. The one where the younger actor.
Oh, yes, the younger actor that his wife has an affair with. I think he's played by Inomata Toshiaki, who his character is named Kimura.
And there's a great scene when he's in the back of the car explaining to him his whole wife's process of the way she kind of came up and wrote a lot of her plays and kind of her genius that way, and kind of his whole marriage and his whole
And
relationship, which I think works very well.
and you have and I think that a huge thing about this film, have in the hands of a lesser skilled director, in the hands of a director that doesn't really trust his audience the same way that Hamaguchi-san does. He doesn't. A lot of the emotional beats aren't loud. They're not bombastic. They're just two people talking very matter of fact. And excuse me, I got the actor who plays the younger lover. The younger actor is played by Okada Masaki.
Yeah. And you kind of see it because maybe in a different film it would have had a big dramatic moment where he confronts him and yells in his face and maybe something like that. But a lot of those moments are very just understated because it's also this thing, in the film of him not knowing at first that he knows about the affair, and him kind of casting him in this play and everything like that. So there's kind of some tension there, and then also I think also a great performance is because in the film you see. He gets assigned a driver to basically drive him around while he's working on this play in Hiroshima, and the driver what's
Yeah, he's assigned this young woman to be his driver, because this stage festival that he's working on, they don't allow the directors to drive themselves, because that's kind of his escape. He like drives his old vehicle. He listens to his wife reciting the play of Uncle Vanya, because he used to do that while on stage, and that was how he learned his lines. And the young driver is a character named Wataru Misaki, who is played by Miura Toka-san.
And you see a lot of great scenes with them, especially a later scene in the movie, which is one of the best scenes I think I've seen this year. The scene where she, reveals kind of her family trauma to him, is where they're open up to each other. Because, like I say, he does play these tapes of his, dead wife, in the car radio, and then listens to them, and and they really do kind of open up to each other a lot about his pain and her pain. And you do see a scene where she goes to a area of her past and really revealing things to him. I think is really powerful and really impactful in the movie. And you do have even some lighter moments in the movie as well. Like there's a scene where he goes to dinner with like the person, I think he hired him for the play to do the play. He meets a man.
Yeah, he goes to dinner with one of the producers on the play, and it's revealed that one of the actors who he cast, who is mute and speaks through Korean Sign Language, that's his wife. And you get this very heartwarming scene of her explaining to him why she decided to like go out and audition this production of Uncle Vanya.
Yeah, and I think that was also a really beautiful, great scene as well, and it adds some levity to the movie as well. Because it is not in a bad way, but it can be a little heavy. I think at moments too.
In a way that, because it, it, it it's in a way that I think it's very needed, because this is not a short movie. This movie is like 3 hours long, and the subject matter and the matter that all of the actors take this, the matter in which Hamaguchi-san decides to shoot and direct his actors, it can be a very big of a slog to get through. But I think with the performances from this entire cast and the way that he touches on themes of like how humans communicate, how we process trauma, how we can use art to express that, it's all beautifully done and kept me engaged. I never felt something like this.
Yeah, it depends on kind of your sensibility. I mean, I feel like if you can sit through Batman for 3 hours, I think hey, you'd be perfectly fine sitting through this for 3 hours. You know what I mean? Hey, I mean sit down, watch this, watch some great performances, some great acting here, and I feel you do have so many of these amazing scenes, and you do have these scenes where about this guy who is processing grief and through art and really working through it. And when he talks about like when he was on stage playing, because at first he was the guy playing the lead character in Uncle Vanya. And
he was the lead character of Uncle Vanya in a stage production, and then after the death of his wife, we see him try to perform on stage again, and he has a breakdown. And it's one of the only times that Kafuku-san actually like shows emotion, because he's very stoic throughout this. He is very stoic. He's very reserved. He's quiet up until like towards the end of the film, where he has gone through this whole journey of processing his grief of this relationship with Misaki-san. And when he finally gets that emotional release, it's cathartic, and it's something that I was bawling by the end of this.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a very emotional movie, and you will have kind of a lot of those emotions in it. Seeing, especially towards I think the ending of this, you really will. And the different, I mean, the screenwriting is masterful in this. I think it is. I mean, it's really amazing, and seeing the characters kind of go back and forth, and seeing the conversations that they have, and I think it's really great. It's kind of tough. I mean, I know this is a foreign movie, so with foreign movies, I'm always like, I don't really know who did bad or who did good. I mean, I don't know who's a good actor, who's a bad actor. typically with foreign movies, you usually see just like the best of the best. When a film's getting this much attention, like when you see something like Parasite, it's like usually that's a big enough movie to cross over and then kind of come into attention. And then same thing with
Yeah,
this. Like
yeah,
this is
yeah. With Parasite, it's a film that does kind of have very universal. It is mostly in touching on a lot of little nuances and subtleties with Korean culture. You have this very universal theme of class struggle, and I think here you have this universal topic of grief and how do you forgive someone who wronged you, and how do you forgive yourself?
yeah. So I'd give it a very strong tune in myself. Very much
I
enjoyed this movie. I see why it's
same
getting the attention it's
same.
getting.
I'm same. I'm at a tune in as well, and I'm in like as I'm talking about this movie, I'm in my head revising my best of 2021.
Yeah.
I was like, where can I fit this movie? Because it is such a moving, beautifully told piece of cinema.
Yeah. All right. So moving on from discussing Drive My Car, going to discuss our last review of the day: Worst Person in the World. And Worst Person in the World. It chronicles the 4 years in the life of Julia, who is a young woman who navigates the troubled waters of her love life and struggles to find her career path, leading her to take a realistic look at who she really is. All right. So you know what? The funny thing, every time I kept seeing like people post, talk about this movie, look at the poster. I thought this was Dakota Johnson. Every single time, I was like, "Oh, Dakota Johnson's in this new movie." I was,
I'm right.
yeah, I was like,
Yeah, and it's the actor. Yeah, she's a Swedish actor. Renate Reins. Reins, I think is how you pronounce her name. She is identical to Dakota Johnson.
especially like with the kind of like the brunette hair, and I was like, yeah, she looks I was like, wow, I kept thinking it was Dakota Johnson. This is another movie that's getting a lot of awards attention. Right now, it is nominated for Best International Film because this is a Norwegian film and also Best Original Screenplay. And really, I think talking about this woman, moving constantly these different career paths that she's trying to find and trying to find herself, trying to find her identity. I think is very great. What are kind of your thoughts on the movie?
I mean, listening to the director Joachim Trier, he wanted to make a movie that was a rom com for people who hate rom com, and I think that's kind of summarizes what this film is. And this is a film about a woman that is kind of navigating the hurdle of young adulthood, of being kind of like that millennial, of not really knowing what the hell you want to do with your life, and seeing these various paths that she takes and these relationships that she gets into, and coming to that conclusion of, hey, I like make a hard choice for me. And I think that's where the title of it's like I have to make these decisions, and even though they make me feel like the worst person in the world, they're really not. I felt so much sympathy for this character, played by Renata Ensiv, who plays Julie in the film. I'll just call her that. I'm not gonna pull up my IMDb every time I need to. I think her relationships with both Anders Danielson Lee, who plays one of her first lovers, and then Nordrum, excuse me. I think both of them, they have fantastic chemistry. They are so sweet in their relationships and their interactions with. I think it's a gorgeous film. I think the performances really sell this film in the cinematography.
Yeah. It very much, you see a lot of these movies now done about kind of the young adulthood age, the 20s, the, kind of mid, late 20s or early 30s, about that stage of life. Very much kind of what, a little bit like Licorice Pizza, what that was about in terms of finding yourself and knowing your place in the world and, feeling like you have such a limited time to just do so much, and the way she kind of just keeps bouncing around, and you see kind of these different love interests that she has throughout the movie, and kind of very different types of men that she kind of is with. And it's a wonderful lead performance by the lead actress. I think she does an incredible job in the film. This film, probably one of the better lead actresses performances I think of, last year of 2021, I think. Very, very great performance here. And you kind of see that the struggle of that, of what to find and what to do. And I think that message, I guess it resonates very heavy with a lot of people in today's society, the
Yeah,
millennial
I
culture.
think, I think the message of it is when you're kind of in your 20s and like trying to navigate who you are and trying to find what path that you want to take. Sometimes you're gonna have to you're gonna have to be a little selfish and do what is right for you. And you're not necessarily a bad person making those kinds of decisions. I think the big question of how does Julie balance like living her life for her people, because I feel like that's a lot of conflicts and decisions that she makes.
Yeah. And especially, her being a woman where, there's like a scene where, with kids and whether she does want that. And that's also a big thing, with women coming to that age of, like, okay, is kids, do I really want
Mm-hmm.
marriage? Is that really kind of what I want? Is that what I really want to do? Is that kind of my life goal? And then dealing with that kind of situations there. And you like mentioned, there's a lot of great shots in this movie as well. I mean, beautiful looking kind of shots, and I think there's also kind of some good horror shots. Like there's a scene where she kind of is in old age makeup, which is kind of
yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah, there are a couple like great scenes where Joachim Trier decides to like flex stylist. Like you have this scene where she's like running through the streets of Norway and time is basically frozen around her. And you have this other one where she has taken a certain psychedelic substance, and it's like probably one of the best interpretations of what that like since I've seen since something like Midsummer.
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, there's a lot of kind of interesting shots like that. A lot of stuff they do. Very talked about Euphoria, very kind of Euphoria type stuff there. With taking the drugs and kind of going having these experiences and the look of kind of stuff. What it is like to be taking psychedelic drugs there, which I thought was very nice. Any negatives
Mhm.
for you with the movie?
Uh, I've only seen the movie once, but as far as I'm concerned, not really. I think this is not a short film. I think it's 2 hours long. I do think that the way it's structured, because it's structured into like these 12 chapters, like you're reading a novel, and I think some of the chapters could be better paced than others. But besides that, I really don't have any complaints about this movie. This is definitely going to be on my revised best of. This is something that I was felt so emotionally moved, especially considering that I'm kind of in the same boat that Julie is in right now. Like I'm like bordering in and entering the twilight years of still kind of figuring out what it is I want to do with my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I really would want to see it again, and really see and really kind of dig in
Mm-hmm.
more into it, and really just kind of dissect it a little bit more before I talk about any real big negatives. But I did really enjoy this film. Did love the screenplay of it. Did love the performances of it.
Mm.
You have a foreign movie here. Excuse me, real quick. I thought okay, I thought I was about to sneeze. So you do kind of have a lot of that here, which I thought was very nice. Yeah, definitely terrific movie. I will say, and I love seeing movies like this. I love seeing kind of this style of movies being
Mm.
done with this kind of original stories. Makes me have faith in film again. You know what I mean? It makes me believe in movies again. Like seeing this, Drive My
Maybe
Car.
have faith in cinema.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Faith
I
in cinema.
So yeah, I very much kind of enjoyed seeing it like this. So yeah, I give it a tune in for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, like tune in for me.
yeah, same. I'm at the highest tuning. I absolutely adore this film. This is definitely going to be high on my revised best of list. I can't wait to watch it again. It reminded me why I love watching film, because occasionally, yes, sometimes I use them to escape as sometimes they're kind of reflections of like where you are at a certain point in life.
Yeah.